I now call on a veteran journalist, a host of Billionario, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Drilon.
We come to the meat of this afternoon's event. Our first speaker, holds a bachelor's degree in management from Ateneo de Manila University. He also earned a Master of Business Administration degree from the London Business School, and not quite content with that, another master's degree in organizational psychology from India. Outside of NAC, our speaker is a trustee at Mano Amiga Foundation that runs Mano Amiga Academy, a K-12 school that offers high-quality holistic education at subsidized tuition rates. He is the fourth of 5 children of NAC founder Manuel B. Zamora Jr., also a father of 3, all of whom are attending or may have graduated. Have they? One has graduated from the University of Notre Dame, a Catholic university in South Bend, Indiana. Please welcome Mr. Dennis Zamora, President and CEO of Nickel Asia Corporation.
There are a couple of reasons why I accepted the invitation. The first is I'm very eager to tell you the story of Nickel Asia Corporation and my own story within the company. But the second reason is, as Cory mentioned earlier, I really just can't say no to my former boss, Boots Garcia, who is your chairperson. So thank you very much for the invitation today. And I have some colleagues here to my right. And as I was preparing this presentation today, it really, for me, became very personal. And I was telling one of them earlier that it's really a personal love story of my journey with Nickel Asia Corporation. So please listen. So the slide you see is a picture of Secretary Frederick Go, and I think this was taken in one of your membership meetings earlier this year. And he identified mining as one of the key, if not the key priority of the Marcos administration. And this is one of the reasons why we are so enthusiastic and optimistic about mining in the Philippines, because the government is pushing both responsible mining and downstream nickel processing. So under the leadership of Secretary Go, the government is now instituting measures to streamline the regulatory processes and as well provide tax and fiscal incentives to mining companies. I have to start with the story of our first operation, Rio Tuba Nickel Mining Corporation. Nickel Asia traces its origins to the Rio Tuba mine located in Bataraza at the southern tip of Palawan. And this was founded by my father, Manny Zamora, in 1967. My dad often says, and I think he told you in the interview, says that he owes a large part of his success due to luck. And interestingly, the very discovery of Rio Tuba was made as a result of a mistake, because he had a project offered to him, and it was not a mining project, but for some reason, he sent over a geologist, and the geologist brought back a rock, a strange-looking rock, and it was later found to be the largest known deposit of lateritic nickel in the entire Southeast Asia. In 2004, Coral Bay, the first ever nickel HPAL processing plant in Southeast Asia, was established at this mine, and this is our first joint venture with Sumitomo Metal Mining. Today, Nickel Asia owns 2 such plants. So the first is Coral Bay, and the second is the Taganito HPAL plant, which at a project cost of $1.7 billion. And this is the reason that the company did its IPO back in 2010. So together, these plants produce 50,000 tons of nickel, which is then further refined in Japan into pure nickel. So as you see in the picture shown here, the left is the before picture and the right is the picture today. It was once a fourth-class municipality, and Bataraza has now been transformed into a first-class municipality and the richest in the entire region, the Mimaropa region. From my father, the CEO torch was passed to Jerry Brimo, who many of you probably know, when NAC was founded over 15 years ago. Then to me in January 2020. Jerry, who was the chairman of NAC recently, also headed up the Chamber of Mines, and we all credit him for largely being responsible for the promotion of responsible mining in the Philippines. As the newly installed CEO of NAC in January 2020, I was immediately confronted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Amid the lockdowns and restrictions, we persevered, and we were able to generate record revenues in 2020, 2021, and 2022. More importantly, we did not even consider letting go of a single employee during COVID. At the start of the pandemic, I knew that the biggest concerns would be fear, uncertainty, and anxiety. So as CEO, I prepared a weekly message to update everyone on the status of the company. I made sure that everybody was safe and made it known that anyone who needed medical attention would be attended to. So I believe these actions made our associates feel part of the NAC family. Earlier this year, Jerry retired as our chairman and was replaced by former Energy and Finance Secretary and former Vice Chairman of Credit Suisse Asia Pacific, Lito Camacho. And during his welcome reception at our office, Secretary Camacho said that one of the reasons he agreed to join us was his respect for my dad and the values that he imbibed and established in the company. He fondly remembered dealings with my dad regarding a financing activity early on with Rio Tuba. So I'm very proud that the people, NAC is always about people and making a positive impact on society, and it is no accident that we have people leading us, including Lito Camacho and our independent director, Flora Tariello, who's seated right there. So we have quality people like them, and we're very happy that they're part of the company. And I believe they joined us because of our unwavering integrity and commitment to the country. So let me start talking about the business. NAC is currently the largest nickel producer in the country with a 40% market share of production. We are also engaged in downstream nickel processing, as I said, with Coral Bay and the Taganito HPAL plant at Surigao del Norte. We are also making a big push for renewable energy with our subsidiary Emerging Power Inc., which currently has an operating capacity of 172 megawatts, and we are on track to reach our target of 1 gigawatt by 2028. Last year, we became a member of the PSE Index as we got closer to our goal of becoming one of the top 25 companies in the PSE in terms of market capitalization. Furthermore, within NAC, we have set a net zero target by 2050. We see ourselves as a problem solver, and we aim to play a part in solving two societal challenges. Number one, transitioning from the typical gas-powered vehicles to electric vehicles, and providing access to clean and affordable energy. So we can therefore say that NAC strategic objectives are aligned with the UN SDG goal number 7, ensuring access to clean and affordable energy. Nickel is an essential raw material of EV batteries. Nickel enhances the energy density and stability of EV batteries, which simply put results in batteries that are smaller, last longer, and are safer. And the trend going forward is for EVs to achieve even longer distances, which means more nickel is needed. Emerging Power, or EPI, is a fast-growing developer of renewable energy projects, and we aim to build at least 1 gigawatt of capacity by 2028. The Philippine Green Energy Transformation Plan calls for large-scale development of cost-efficient renewable energy, particularly solar and wind, and we are proud to be contributors towards that goal. In 2021, we at NAC agreed to adopt twin goals for 2025, becoming the premier ESG investment in the country and being counted among the top 25 in the Philippines in terms of market capitalization. But I'm most proud that we collectively created these goals and sub-goals underlying them, and this served as a rallying point for all of us, which we badly needed at the time as we were still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. And as a result, I believe we emerged from that period much stronger and more united. This later led to the formalization of One NAC, which today guides our decisions and behaviors. We aim to achieve these twin goals by running our existing nickel mining and other mining businesses, and renewable energy business professionally and efficiently, by growing these businesses domestically and possibly overseas, and by embracing technology and innovation to align with global best practices. But most importantly, we will do it by focusing on what truly matters, the sustainability of NAC and sustainability for our stakeholders. In the nickel business, we produce saprolite and limonite ore. Our saprolite ore is exported mostly to China and is a key raw material for the production of stainless steel. Stainless steel is used to build mega infrastructures and everyday items like kitchen tools, cutlery, surgical and medical equipment, and more. Our limonite ore, on the other hand, is primarily delivered domestically to our HPAL, or high pressure acid leach plants, and further refined into pure nickel in Japan. Some of the refined nickel ends up in EV batteries. So Sumitomo Metal Mining, you may be interested to know, supplies the nickel cobalt aluminum, or NCA, cathode materials for the Panasonic lithium-ion batteries used in Tesla EVs. So it is no exaggeration to say that our Taganito and Ryutuba mines end up in Tesla batteries. Our other subsidiary, Cordillera Exploration Company, Inc., or what we call SEXI, is also a joint venture with Sumitomo Metal Mining, and we are exploring for gold and copper throughout the Philippines. Our footprint into renewable energy continues to broaden with our growing operating capacity. From our current capacity of 172 megawatts, and what you see on the screen is our existing 172 megawatt plant in Subic Freeport. We are on track to growing to at least 1 gigawatt by 2028. And in a recent disclosure we made to the stock exchange, we announced 3 billion in equity funding for 2 new solar projects at Subic and Leyte, with a total capacity of about 400 megawatts. We are optimistic about the prospects for EPI as we are in the mining industry, because similar to the mining industry, the Marcos government is highly supportive of renewable energy. The DOE has set targets for the country's RE contribution to rise to 35% and 50% of total capacity by 2030 and 2040 respectively. Because of this government support for renewables, the increasing demand for electricity as the country's GDP grows even more, and growing preference and need for cleaner energy, we are confident that demand for renewable energy, and in turn for the green metals that power renewable energy, will remain robust. So being a next generation leader, one of my thrusts is to adopt innovation and technology to enhance productivity and apply global best practices. Going forward, NAC will continue to effect positive change, but we will do so more professionally and more sustainably. We will incessantly embrace technology in all aspects of our business, resulting in more effective utilization of our resources. As examples, many years ago, we invested in a conveyor belt system at our Taganito mine to deliver ore from our stockpiles to the Taganito HPA plant. That's the photo you see in the middle. This reduced our diesel usage by 96%. Also at Taganito, we are pilot testing hybrid-powered excavators for our mining operations. We are the first nickel mine in the Philippines to use computerized models for mine reserves, mine designs, and production scheduling, and also the first to mine using GPS for equipment dispatching and traffic control. We are also starting to utilize AI-powered data analytics tools to streamline our mining operations. Meanwhile, at EPI, our solar plant is piloting the use of kinetic energy storage using flywheel technology. And of course, sustainability are vital for us to ensure sustainability of our business, the communities in which we operate, and of society in general. In the mining business, one of our key challenges is our finite resource base. While we may have the largest nickel resources in the country, our current resources will eventually be depleted. And you will note in the rightmost chart above that our present mine life is 15 years on average. The challenge is to ensure that our operations and communities that depend on us today continue to thrive in the long run. For both our mining and renewable energy business, we continue to develop our pipeline through acquisitions and partnerships, and we are open to expanding our business overseas if the right opportunity and partner comes along. And for the benefit of society at large, we have set an ambitious goal, as I said, of achieving net zero emissions by 2050. By the end of next year, we are looking to cut 35,000 tons of Scope 1 and 2 carbon emissions. And to give an idea, 1 ton is equivalent to 2,500 miles driven by an average gasoline-powered passenger vehicle. Even in our simple ways, we aim to reduce GHG contribution. The photo depicted in this slide is our EV bus, which shuttles our employees to and from home and work at no charge. For the Filipino consumer, EPI at its current capacity of 172 megawatts can already power 3 cities in 1 year. And of course, I had to include San Juan, where my family is from, in this list. And we aim to expand to at least 1 gigawatt by 2028. We will provide renewable energy to even more Filipinos at that time. For our sustainability journey, NAC has been around for over 50 years, and we intend to be around for at least another 50 years. And having a sustainability roadmap and ensuring professionalization across all levels of our operation are imperative for the improvement and continuity of NAC. But it's important for me to stress to all of you today why we are on this path. First and foremost, we believe that it is the right thing to do, not just for the company, but more importantly, for our country and external stakeholders. As CEO, I'm proud that our shareholders, board, and people truly subscribe to these principles. We are all serious in our commitment to responsible and sustainable practices, and we view sustainability as an integral aspect of our business. Ultimately, we believe that sustainability results in value creation for all, including shareholders, employees, communities, and the government. Moving forward as leaders, we want to leave a legacy. And at NAC, this means ensuring that we leave a lasting and transformational impact across the people whom we touch. Whether by investing in the transformation of mining areas into more productive uses when the mining ends, such as ecotourism sites, enabling self-sufficiency in our host communities through livelihood, education, and health projects, or providing access to cheaper, cleaner energy. Outside of NAC, we recently established the NAC Foundation, whose advocacy focuses on health and education. Through NAC Foundation, we recently donated 50 million pesos to the UP National Institutes of Health, the country's state-owned research facility responsible for several breakthroughs and discoveries, including the now ubiquitous newborn screening program. The photo you see on the right shows me handing over a symbolic check to Dr. Carmencita Padilla, National Scientist and former Chancellor of UP Manila, during the awarding ceremony of the second MBZ Cup held at Manila Golf last July 19. Through the foundation, we extend our reach to areas and people outside our traditional host communities. And just like in our business, NAC Foundation strives for maximum impact and multiplier effects. Finally, we consider ourselves a leader of responsible mining in the Philippines. All our mines have received the Presidential Mineral Industry Environmental Award, the highest honor conferred by the President of the Philippines to companies that exhibit sustainable practices across environment, safety, and health. Abroad, 2 of our mines won the ASEAN Mineral Awards, with Rio Tuba being the first winner of that award in the inaugural awarding in 2017 in Myanmar. Last year, we won 2 prestigious awards from Finance Asia and Asia Money, and became a member of the PSE Index. In closing, I hope to have given you a better appreciation as to why NAC continues to thrive to this day. More than 50 years after my dad mistakenly sent a geologist to do the work of a forester, as to why we are well positioned for greater heights in the long run, and the challenges and opportunities before us, as next generation leaders. Thank you very much.
So our next speaker is the CEO of a fast-growing real estate company pioneering the premium affordable housing segment. While running the organization, she is also a mom to 4 kids, all aged under 14. She is what you would call a millennial home builder and homemaker, as our speaker enjoys spending her downtime with family in the comforts of home. Today, she will share with us her journey in turning their family legacy into a mission, and how the corporate giants and conglomerates continue to inspire her to lead the organization even beyond their potential. Please welcome on stage the CEO of Avia Land, Pami Olivares Vital.
Thank you. Pleasant afternoon to all of you today, and congratulations to Sharefill for another successful summit. First, I wish to express my gratitude in being part of the esteemed roster of speakers that we have today. Like you, I am also wondering why I was invited to speak. We are a young company with so much more mountains to climb, so I wish to thank you all for listening today as I share our story thus far. A story of resilience, growth, and finding our mission and purpose. Our family has been in the business of building homes for over 40 years. Our chairman, my father, Jing Olivares, who is here today, established his construction company in 1986, from relocation projects, housing for the poor, and eventually to become a developer. In 2006, straight out of college, my father told me that our business was experiencing many problems. I could feel the pressure he was feeling, so I willingly went to work. On my 3rd day, Typhoon Milenio ravaged our country, and the access bridge to our only project then broke. Sales were low, and that definitely made things worse. But my dad, the seasoned and tough entrepreneur that he is, was not one to give up. He told me, "We can do this, just do your best to sell the houses." Fresh out of college, without any training or background, I needed to figure things out on my own. It was not easy, but we were dedicated, day in and day out. At that time, a lot of my friends were starting their jobs in multinational FMCGs, conglomerates, and banks, many of which are probably represented here today. They would eagerly talk about their fancy offices, intelligent bosses, the training they received, and the huge markets they served. I would watch in amazement when they would have corporate-wide sales rallies, product launches, team building seminars, and so many other events that made going to work seem so fun. Amidst the crisis we were in, I knew in my heart that one day we can also grow into that kind of organization. I remained curious and inquisitive, asking about what went on behind the curtains, trying to understand the elements of what and how a business can grow to such a size. We witnessed our friends be sent to foreign trips for business meetings and further studies. For me, it was so inspiring. I knew that one day we would be able to do the same. Little by little, we tried to emulate these activities. But instead of grand events in five-star hotels, we would hold our own in the function room of a Chowking or a Jollibee. We could not afford seminars and trainings then, so I would prepare modules and do the trainings myself, sharing what I knew, hoping that what I was teaching them was right. But for me, it did not feel any less. We were grateful for what we had, without letting go of the dream we had ahead. The next few years would form my foundations in real estate. A lot of my time was spent talking to our partner brokers and sellers, home buyers, and employees. You can bet there were more complaints and problems than good news. For me, it was like a puzzle that needed to be solved. It was easy to say, hey, it's not just us with a problem. Every other developer you talk to probably has the same. But I could not fathom that way of thinking. It was in that juncture when I knew what kind of developer we wanted to be. Responsible, conscientious, excellent. We welcomed going against the grain, creating our own market and establishing our own way of doing things, truly for the benefit of the home buyer we serve. We were determined to make it better. We believe every Filipino family deserves the premier real estate experience in terms of product, community, and most especially service. This became our North Star. We were able to determine where and how we could improve, tackling the pain points and frustrations of the industry. Inspired by the many conglos and giants around us, we made the leap and never looked back. We were determined to build a formidable real estate company focused on giving the emerging middle class the best home their hard-earned money can buy. We soon learned that while the idea may sound simple, the execution would be an entirely different beast. We were determined to keep our entrepreneurial spirit alive, but also learn how to professionalize the way we do things. Over time, we learned running a professional organization does not need a swanky office address, fancy roles, and corner offices. Professionalism begins with those who lead. Proper governance, transparency, demonstrating hard work instead of demanding it. We had to balance profitability, growth, organization, shareholder value, capital, and debt. Words that we never used before as a company. Words like company culture, vision, and values were no longer just fillers to a website, as it began to make sense why the corporate giants put so much importance in these. At times, the challenge ahead of me seemed so big, quite insurmountable. Many times, I doubted myself. Despite the difficult realities, we had such a meaningful mission ahead of us, and there was nothing more rewarding than seeing our developments become populated by new home buyers, and so we keep going. Via Land is making home ownership an easy, seamless, and pleasant experience for the Filipino home buyer. We are working towards making owning a brand new home as easy as owning a brand new car. Come in, pay a light down payment, get approved for financing, and in just 3 to 6 months, be able to move into your quality assured brand new home. Home ownership remains the top aspiration for many Filipinos, and Ovia Land is here to make sure that it need not be difficult to attain. What started out as a response to duty towards our family business has evolved into a lifelong mission. Ovia Land has come a long way, but we have much further to go. Like what I have learned from the beginning, the idea may seem simple, but execution is gold. But the goal is too great, too important, that we will not give up until we make it happen. In the past 4 years, Ovia Land has achieved a 37% CAGR and a year-on-year growth in terms of houses built and turned over. We have served over 3,000 families, welcoming them into their brand new homes. We watch from the sidelines as we see their excitement and hope. Today, we continue to be guided by our mission and our company values, and one of the things that brings me most joy is seeing how the people have grown with us. Last December, we celebrated as a team and we took all our employees to Hong Kong for an incentive trip. For 95% of our team, it was their first time to step foot on a foreign country. And just 2 weeks ago, we sent one of our managers to pursue a short course in National University of Singapore, Asia's top business school. We still have a long road ahead, and we continue to be inspired by the many conglomerates around us. We are committed to grow and serve our market, no matter the bumpy ride ahead. Just a few weeks ago, as we were preparing our 2025 targets, I had a window of hesitation to chart another aggressive growth year due to the many external factors we worry about. Inflation, global politics, war, the MPOX, and the list goes on. Then I remembered Lance Gokongwei and his 1.4 trillion peso investment for 152 new aircrafts for Cebu Pacific. And I said to myself, Lance, pahingi naman ang lakas ng loob. Every day, even after the longest and most gruesome days, I feel so grateful when I stand in front of the door of my own home, knowing that my family awaits. And I sincerely hope all our homeowners who go home that night would have the same sense of relief and security as they enter their own Ovia Land homes. This is the mission of Ovia Land, our way of contributing to nation building, one brand new home for a Filipino family at a time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker received his Bachelor of Science degree in Marketing and International Business from the University of Virginia, McIntyre School of Commerce in the US, and his MBA from the University of Navarra IES Business School in Barcelona, Spain. He serves as a first Senior Vice President for Philinvest Hospitality. He oversees the entire life cycle of the group's hospitality investments. He has contributed to the growth of Philinvest's hospitality's portfolio, including over 1,800 keys in operation under the Crimson, Quest, and Timberland brands. Please welcome Mr. Francis C. Gotianon, First Senior Vice President, Philinvest Hospitality Corporation.
I'll share a brief background of Philinvest and myself. Philinvest was founded in 1955 by my grandparents Andrew and Mercedes Gotianon. Over the years, the company has solidified its vision in enabling Filipinos' dreams and has since diversified into sectors including real estate, banking, sugar, utilities, and hospitality. A little bit about myself. After graduating from Xavier School, I attended the University of Virginia and I earned my undergraduate degree in commerce. Following that, I worked in the US for EchoStar, a satellite TV company, before returning to the Philippines to join Teletech, a pioneer in the BPO industry. To broaden my perspective, I pursued an MBA at IES, aiming to complement my Filipino and American education with a European viewpoint and take a little bit of time off. In 2010, I joined Philinvest to lead its strategic expansion into hospitality. It's been a rewarding journey, and I'm proud of what we've built over the last 14 years. Philinvest Hospitality was established in 2010 and is responsible for the development and management of the group's leisure business. Since then, we've built a portfolio of over 1,800 rooms across 7 properties under the Crimson, Quest, and Timberland brands. In early 2025, we'll be adding our 8th property, Graphic Pine House Baguio, in Camp John Hay. This will be our first graphic hotel, and I'm super excited about this. We also have a number of third-party management agreements that we are working on. This expansion is part of our ongoing commitment to growing our portfolio and showcasing the best of the Philippines. With that background in mind, let's turn to the broader tourism trends. Despite ongoing geopolitical headwinds, global recovery is underway. The Philippines is expected to end 2024 with one of the highest GDP growth rates in ASEAN. This is a positive sign for the hospitality industry, as robust GDP growth is heavily driven by domestic consumption, which correlates with increased demand for travel and leisure activities. Globally, international arrivals have largely returned to pre-pandemic levels. However, in Asia Pacific, the recovery has been slower, with the Philippines lagging behind other ASEAN countries. The Philippines aims to reach 7.7 million international arrivals by the end of 2024. However, current trends suggest this target may be difficult to achieve. So far, we are only at 40% of the way there, with just 4 months remaining in the year. A major challenge has been the slow recovery of key source markets, especially China, where arrivals are still 80% below 2019 levels. Domestic travel has played a vital role in offsetting the slow recovery of international arrivals. In 2023, the number of domestic travelers has already surpassed the 2019 levels, highlighting strong local demand. Despite this growth, there remains significant potential for expansion, as the average Filipino takes less than 1 domestic overnight trip a year. In 2023, the World Travel and Tourism Council valued the Philippine travel domestic market at $52 billion, making it one of the largest in ASEAN. Passenger volumes at our major airports offer another indicator of recovery. While most airports are still below pre-pandemic levels, Bohol and Luwag are exceptions. This uneven recovery shows that tourism is rebounding at different rates across the country, highlighting the need for an agile approach to operations and development. Tourism receipts are another gauge of recovery. The Philippines leads the ASEAN region in receipts per arrival, driven by longer stays and higher spend. In 2023, tourism contributed 3.4 trillion pesos, or about 8.6% of GDP. This contribution is expected to grow significantly in 2024, underscoring the importance and potential of the tourism sector. Human capital remains a significant concern for the industry. While post-pandemic tourism employment has continued to expand, demand for qualified workers will outpace supply, given the low number of hospitality graduates, economic migration, and the rapid expansion of room supply. Addressing this labor gap is crucial for sustaining the tourism sector. On the customer front, several key trends are emerging. Higher-end properties are outperforming mid-scale options as travelers prioritize premium experiences. There is also a rise in microcations, shorter, more frequent trips. Additionally, travelers are increasingly seeking unique, personalized, and experiential travel. In summary, in 2024, the Philippines is expected to have strong GDP growth, which will fuel domestic consumption. 2, the recovery of international arrivals is still lagging. 3, domestic travel has seen robust growth. 4, passenger volumes show uneven recovery across airports. 5, the Philippines leads in tourism receipts per arrival. 6, demand for tourist workers is expected to outpace supply. 7, customer trends are shifting towards the higher end of the market and more experiential travel. Now that we've tackled the trends, let's shift gears and discuss what Philinvest Hospitality is doing. Philinvest Hospitality is focusing on 3 main themes. First, strategic growth. We are targeting key leisure markets to create a portfolio that showcases the best of the Philippines. Second, operational excellence. We continue our relentless focus on enhancing guest experience by investing in our processes, technology, food offerings, and most importantly, people. Third, active community partnership. We are active community members and work with industry groups to promote inclusive tourism growth. Philinvest Hospitality is pursuing growth in key leisure markets. Our goal is to create a portfolio of properties that highlight the unique and irreplaceable offerings of the Philippines. We believe leisure properties offer greater upside compared to non-leisure properties. As the Philippine economy grows and accessibility improves, we anticipate increased demand for these destinations. Since Philinvest Hospitality began, we've been committed to providing exceptional guest experiences. This dedication has paid off, with Chroma Managed Properties achieving a 93.74 rating on TrustU, the highest of any group in the Philippines, both local or international. For those unfamiliar, TrustU is a leading aggregator of hospitality customer feedback across the web. We believe that exceptional service is a key pillar to our competitive advantage, especially in our ever-changing and crowded market. We continue to emphasize the importance of our food and beverage offerings. We believe that getting F&B right provides a strong foundation for exceptional customer experiences. This focus aligns with travelers' desire for experiential travel, where culinary experiences play a central role. In addition to our guest programs, we continuously invest in our technology to enhance the customer experience. This includes leveraging data and digital tools to provide personalized service and streamlined operations, ensuring that our guests enjoy a seamless and memorable stay. Our team is the foundation of our success. We are addressing the shortage of hospitality professionals by creating an environment that promotes growth, fosters community, and offers competitive financial rewards. This approach has been crucial in attracting and retaining top talent. I'm proud to say that over the past 14 years, many of our team members have moved up, some starting at entry-level positions and now becoming managers. In response to the rapidly changing business environment, we prioritize active community engagement. We're involved in key tourism organizations, including the Philippine Hotels Owners Association and the Private Sector Advisory Council for Tourism. We invest time, effort, and resources in offering suggestions, insights, and feedback on key tourism policies. For instance, we have supported initiatives such as holiday economics, which you can thank for the long weekend, relaxed visa entry policies, enhanced investment incentives, tax refunds for tourists, and the recently concluded Philippine Tourism and Hotel Investment Summit. Lastly, we believe that sustainability is crucial for long-term business success. We ensure that all our efforts are aligned with our sustainability commitments, which are anchored across our 4 focus areas of service, inclusivity, green initiatives, and resilience. These commitments guide our operations and help us contribute to a more sustainable future for the tourism industry and the communities we serve in. Scan the QR code for our latest sustainability report. Thank you for your attention today, and I expect to see all of you at our properties very soon. So, love the Philippines. Thank you.
Well, our next speaker will now be reacting to the speeches or the sharing of our 3 CEOs, business leaders. She is the assistant business editor, Philippine Daily Inquirer, has been a business journalist for more than 2 decades. 2 decades na ba talaga? She also has, she is a recipient of 23 business journalism awards, including those given by the Economic Journalists Association of the Philippines, Jaime Ongpin, the Ongpin Awards, Catholic Mass Media Awards, Citibank, and Sun Life Financial Literacy Awards. On top of the Journalism Award, she was honored as Young Global Leader, Class of 2014 by the World Economic Forum, one of the outstanding young men honorees, Class of 2014, Asia 21 Young Leader in 2011 by Asia Society, and also in 2011, Google named her one of 20 most influential women in the Philippines. She graduated with a degree in political science from the University of the Philippines, cum laude. Please welcome Doris Dumlao Abadilla, Assistant Business Editor of the Philippine Daily Inquirer.
So congratulations to our next generation leaders, Dennis, Pammy, and Francis. So they each represent sectors that are key drivers of our economy. So well-curated share field, tourism, mining, and property. They're really key drivers of the economy. So let me share with you my key takeaways from each of them. So first of all, Nickel Asia, Dennis, congratulations. You are changing the narrative of the mining industry. Because iba, when we think about mining, we think of it as a dirty business. It's an extractive industry. It's a polluter, and the communities are usually are against it. So, but with Nickel Asia, you're changing the narrative from because you're serving the EV industry, and also with your diversification to renewables, which is very commendable. Can you imagine 1 gigawatt by 2028? And you're a mining company. This is already the scale of some of the largest renewable energy developers in the country today. And I like the story about, he didn't mention it, but Dennis, the position didn't come automatically for Dennis, right? He had to prove his worth, and he had worked at several other institutions before his parents. His dad was convinced to make him a CEO. And he became CEO at a very challenging time, at 2020. Sabi ko nga, if your dad were lucky, you call that lucky din ba? You became CEO during at the onset of the pandemic. Anyway, so it's very commendable, the core values that you are introducing to Nickel Asia: professionalism, sustainability, and efficiency. And this is also what I'm sure many of the investors would like to see more of: efficiency, especially now that there's oversupply of nickel in the global market, which has affected pricing. So in your presentations, you mentioned about overseas expansion. So I'm sure a lot of our business journalists here would like to hear more about how you will do this overseas expansion. And will you be expanding only the mining business or even the renewable, or both? And I also would like to hear more about how Nickel Asia will deal with disruptive technologies. Because right now, demand for nickel for the electric vehicle industry is high, but there are the emerging industries that do not use nickel for EV, right? So in the future, it could be a challenge for Nickel Asia. And yeah, and before this program, we were talking about HPAL, because I think previously Dennis has mentioned that Nickel Asia would like to build another HPAL facility. Of course, they are the only ones in the country that right now have interest in two, and they are the only two HPAL facilities in the country, and both of them are 100%. They have 100% utilization rate, right? But in the future, because you're talking about acquisition of more mining assets, which is good because for diversification, di ba, minsan pag LGU kaaway mo and you're relying on just one mining asset, it could be a big problem. But for Nickel Asia, yeah, we're looking forward to acquisition of more assets. And Dennis has said that another HPAL facility is a possibility, but towards the end of the decade, right? Because of course, they need a scale to make it viable. So for our second speaker, Pammy of VLAN, your dad is here. She's a testament to the great mentorship of Mr. Jing Olivares. Let's give and correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Olivares is a great estate planner because Ovia Land was a business really created for Pammy, and the other son works for another business, right? So, and Pammy has done wonderfully with Ovia Land. Aside from mentorship from his dad, she has accepted mentorship from other professionals, other real estate veterans. So that's why she brought in JJ Atencio as partner. And aside from that, her partnership with bringing in a Japanese investor as partner for a joint venture partner in housing development is a brilliant idea because we all know how the Japanese businessmen they take so long in making decisions. So the moment they decide to partner with you, that means it's a seal of good keeping for Pammy. And it will, of course, it will also give you access to low-cost Japanese funds if you need it. So we look forward to VLN being a listed company in the future. And lastly, our speaker, Francis, you can really feel Francis' passion for the hospitality industry. I was chatting with him earlier, and I was asking him why did he join Philinvest instead of DMCI. Of course, he had the lucky choice. He had the difficult choice of which family business to join. And he said that long before, he had already decided that he wanted to be in the hospitality business. And because this is his passion, it also reflects on the way he runs the business. Yes, I've been to Boracay and Cebu. They're really great properties, really at par with global standards. And I like the way that Philinvest is developing a Filipino hospitality brand. So instead of getting, although there are pros and cons, right? Like bringing an international brand to manage your property. But Philinvest has chosen to create and manage its own brands. And I would like to see Philinvest Hospitality expanding to new areas like maybe Bohol, you're not yet in Bohol, right? Ilocos, maybe Siargao or La Union, where the young people go. Because that's where you go, Francis. And I heard that Philinvest was also a pioneer in, if you've heard about the new regulation of SEC about the pooled condotel assets, they're making they're now requiring developers who will sell property assets that are meant to be in a managed pool to now register this as securities. So it's like doing an IPO. So even before this regulation, Philinvest has already done it. They registered one of their properties. So very good. So for that trend that, Francis talked about the trend of young travelers, especially young travelers seeking experience tourism, if we talk about experience tourism. So we hope to see Philinvest bundling more of those experiential activities. And maybe I was asking Ed, Ed, do you think Philinvest Hospitality can do an IPO in the future? And then he said, oh yeah, maybe in the future. I don't know what scale is needed to do that, but maybe one of these days, one of these years, if you, because for real estate investment trust, we already have the offices, shopping malls, and we even have an infrastructure themed REIT you.
How you're working with your families or your maybe second generation, third generation, and how would you distinguish your leadership compared to those that have come before you? You know, your, yeah.
Hello? There we go. So I'm fifth generation in the family business. I don't know how to describe the difference in my leadership versus the rest of the family. Probably is more a response to the time and the business in its stage today, right? And my leadership brand, I would like to think, is built around being more human-centered. Not that they weren't human-centered before, but
That was my follow-up. Or more nurturing maybe, more less authoritative, I don't know.
no, so I think, in terms of leadership or thought leadership, around leadership in the past, people talk about having to be purpose-driven, values-grounded, agile, adaptive. But I think maybe in the past, you could get away with being half like that. But in today's business environment, with the younger generation coming in, having a lot of options around them and being, ready to take on the next thing at the drop of a hat, you can't afford not to be. So I feel like you really have to live up to that brand of leadership and walk the talk around that, being purpose-driven, values-led, agile, adaptive today.
Thanks. Maybe you could, I'd ask the same question of the rest because that's what you have in common, di ba? Pang ilan ka na ba? Generation. Both sides.
Third generation.
Third generation.
A little hard to add on to what Anna's saying. I think that she covered quite a bit already because I agree that you really have to lead with purpose and you need to be able to inspire people to get them engaged in what you're doing. So I think without having a clear purpose and a clear center, it's very hard to keep people, motivate people, and compete in this very competitive environment.
So you're saying it's more challenging now than during the time of your parents and grandparents?
I think the challenge has really changed. I think things have gotten a lot more complicated, complex, and you need a lot more subject matter experts. And there's a lot more choice in what people can do and what they want to do, right? So I think you have to be a salesperson as well to all your people in the organization to have them come and join you on the mission.
So in terms of the product today, I think I can be very specific. When my dad started this business, it was actually like similar to government housing. So it was an opportunity for people to have shelter and access to their own homes. But right now, the generation is no longer about what is being given to me, but what I want. So from being, given to you versus aspiring for something, it has become a totally different market, and we have to accept that and we cannot go around doing business anymore because of being cheap, not being quality focused and all those things. So it's a challenge, and of course, social media, it's still the worst thing to wake up to a bad review or something. But that's why you have to be proactive with it and lead ahead rather than be defensive.
Dennis, I think one thing Doris touched on was, about how you've turned mining into, I guess, more respectable. But I think it's also because you're more open. I mean, we couldn't interview anybody from NAC before. It's only recently that your dad granted one interview. So, okay, go ahead.
No, very, very good point, and it's related to what I was going to say about my father. I'm sure maybe some of you have met him. No? He's a bit unique. His personality. He's a force of nature. He has a very strong personality, but he's also very reserved. So one of the things that make me different from him is I want to be more public about the things being done in the company. We've been doing all these things for the past more than 50 years, but my dad never wanted to talk about what the company was doing because he always did it as I said, as I hinted on earlier, because it's the right thing to do. But I think one of our roles which we cannot avoid right now is we have to be number one. We have to represent the industry. And second, our shareholders, our stockholders want to know what we're doing as far as growing the business and improving the image of the company. So I think it's very important to be transparent about it, even though it's not in our nature, not in my family's nature to be outgoing, to be honest.
I want to ask all four of you about sustainability and the environment and how you are addressing this. Because back in the day, in the times of your grandparents, parents, that wasn't really much of a concern. And we can't continue living the way we do with hurting the planet for the next generations. So in the hospitality sector, how are you looking out for the environment, and how are you adhering to the principles of sustainability?
Well, the way that we think about sustainability is that it's just good business, right? A lot of the things, sustainability gives us just a framework to think about all the things that we're doing and measure the impact that we're having on our various stakeholders. So actually, I think sustainability is actually a way, it could be risk management, it could be think of resilience, so it could be thought of in many different ways that have been thought of before. So I think it just creates a very nice framework for us to manage how we're looking at all these different aspects of our business. So I think even though maybe my grandparents or my parents didn't really actively talk about this a lot, they always try to be good corporate citizens. And sustainability is just a way to present the information in a manner in which the market will understand. So I think sustainability is actually not new. We're just really sharpening our sustainability practice. And we've been doing this for over 70 years.
Do you have zero carbon targets the way NAC has?
No, we don't have our zero carbon targets, but we're actively in the group moving towards more renewables. And we also work on LEED certification, we work on EDGE certification, right? So we try to do what we can, and we're thinking about what our target should be for net zero, which is a very challenging in a country like the Philippines.
I mean, there's so many pledging, but I don't know who's going to audit them. Who's auditing you?
Ask JB.
Diba? I think that's also important. Pami, you are in the premium affordable space, right? So, is sustainability somehow, a luxury only for the
No.
How do
Actually,
you do this for that segment?
I really agree with Francis said that it's, the whole concept of ESG now is really just putting in a gift wrap what you would have done if you were an honest, straightforward businessman. So in our part, we always try to do we are super B2C, right? And the clients that we serve, it's like it's their home. So we have to be very we have to do them right. Make sure that the communities that we build are one major storm, and we have to make sure that there's really no flooding, no anything like that. So the way that we're able to do it, since we develop outside urban areas, there are still a lot of underdeveloped areas. When it comes to, let's say, as simple as making a drainage, instead of just building one that will just serve the community that we're building, we opt to build one that will serve the whole barangay, so that everybody will have access to that public drainage that we're going to build. Another way that we try to do it is really homeowners education, which is trash. It's such a garbage disposal is such a big problem right now that we have, even in areas like outside Metro Manila. Where do we bring all our trash? So educating the homeowners who segregation and the proper disposal. Those are the simple ways that we apply ESG in our company, even if it's not just for the luxury market. Yeah.
Actually, we do make a big effort to measure our ESG targets, even including carbon emissions. So we have partnerships with various firms, including UP, to measure our carbon emissions. And we're also adhering to reporting to various raters, for example, Standard and Poor's. We used to be with Sustainalytics, but they've changed their strategy, so we're now transitioning. And then we're one of the first mining companies to have an integrated report, so our sustainability report is not separate anymore from our annual report. So our financial targets are closely linked, integrated to our sustainability targets.
And there are third-party inspectors that you can...
But we're just in the process now of gathering the data and reporting. So we like to say that even if the data is not good, we're going to report it, whatever it is.
In the banking, in the financial sector, what are the concerns in ESG, for instance?
Well, in terms of Union Bank, we led a digital transformation. I guess with regards to sustainability on
You would be the leader, I would suppose, no? Tama ba, Pami? Kaya you only use
I don't like
Union
to
Bank.
self-proclaim, but we did start ahead. And the focus for sustainability for us would be, and particularly for me, would be two ways. One for our customers and the other for our employees, right? So building a sustainable business model is one way for the customers, right? You have all of these digital companies that started up 8 years ago that have now gone bust. So they were all purely digital. Now that's not sustainable business, right? So we need to make sure that the digital business model we're adapting, it gets paper lessened, allows people to do things from where they are, etc. But it has to be a sustainable model. Otherwise, why go into it? So that's one aspect of it. The second is when I think about sustainability of business model as well, I think about our employees, right? When we were all in the pandemic working from home, the business life was not sustainable. You were working, I don't know how many hours a day, there was no balance. And therefore, people started to get burned out. So in terms of our business model and the way we want to get our employees to work and have a work-life balance, I think also leads to sustainability in the bank and in the banking sector, right? So I like to think about it from multiple angles. Our business banking is not really so much environment related, but those are the ways we think about it.
There is that new law in Australia that has just been passed, the right to disconnect or something. What do they call it? But here in the Philippines, I don't know, is that practiced at all? Well, in media, meaning you cannot contact your employees by email, right?
Of business hours.
They're-
In Singapore
yeah,
also something
in
similar.
Europe as well. But here, parang you're on Viber or constantly, or like, do you practice that in your organization?
I think we don't have a strict rule
Like
on it.
tourism, come on, you don't
Yeah.
go on vacation.
I mean, because our guests are there on the weekends and, we have to be available, but we really try very hard to respect people's time off, right? So very, very rarely will we ask people to come in on a non-working day, right? And very rarely will we talk to people after office hours. We try very hard to do that, and we also try to force people to go on vacations.
But
right?
you as the SVP, meron din.
Yeah, meron rin, right? I don't know, we can ask my team over there, right? Maybe they will answer this question better, right? We really try to be, I think, respectful of each other and realizing that, people you work with are people, and they need that time off to be productive and to really excel and to be the best that they can be. So I think similar to me, right? Tired Francis is a grumpy Francis, right? And not a great Francis to
But
be
times
around.
have really changed, I think, in the older generation. You just work. Diba? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, and I think they had some time off too, though. I suspect, but they have their own mythology around them now.
Pami, you wanna chime in?
I think how the organization runs is a big reflection of the real meaning also of sustainable. We cannot be running on fumes, right? So we do not have a strict policy about it because, again, we are in the business of selling homes. So the moment they move in there, we always have to be available. But the people who are going to be assigned on a certain day also have their days off after that, because You're right, Grumpy Francis. Also, I really value my time to rest and to be with family too, and I want the whole organization to feel that way. In fact, we work with a lot of young people, and I want them to know that they can get married, they can have kids, because otherwise, if they don't, then who will buy houses in the future? And yeah, that's one way for us to be sustainable. I mean, you see all these countries that are, declining population. It's a huge problem. So we have to kind of see that too, that we cannot take our population for granted. Yeah.
Did you want to add to that, Dennis?
Well, we don't have a policy on, like you described, but I would like to think that the people who interact after office hours, they actually want to do it. So it's not a necessity. I think those who are not willing to do it, I would encourage them not to be online and not to answer emails or texts.
But would you take it against them?
Not at all, not at all. But I know a lot of my colleagues here constantly contact me during weekends, and I really don't mind. I really don't mind.
Hey, stop pestering the boss! And you don't want?
No, I don't mind. I'm
You
fine.
don't
I'm fine.
mind. Okay, sorry. I didn't quite get
In
that.
fact, I want them to, because it's probably important. But that doesn't go for everyone.
Maybe it's different for our culture. I don't know. What do you think? Because they have to legislate it in Europe, in Australia. Oh, last 5 minutes? Why? Okay, and may question dito si Tony Lopez. Sige na nga. Only you.
Two short questions. Number one, if you did not inherit anything, would you be as successful or as rich? Number two, what three things can you advise startups? Kasi parang dito sa mga Philippines, lagi nilang to be successful, kailangan may mana ka. How do you start from zero?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Related questions. Ganda.
So you're assuming that I'm rich, right? At this point.
Well, come on.
Assuming, right?
Or maybe you can tell us how you were raised na hindi isip mayaman or privileged or entitled.
That'll be a long story.
Okay.
But anyway, who knows, right? I mean, I would think that my education and my experiences would have helped me get somewhere. Where that somewhere is, who knows? Yeah, it definitely helps to come from two great families. And sorry, the second one was.
But what advice for startups, because people who have to start from zero, walang mana, who have to, I guess, get funding.
Very quick. Measure twice, cut once.
Again?
Measure twice, cut once. So be careful, right? Think about it, then go for it,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Great answer, but for the first question, would you be where you are now if you're not, if your parents were not who they were, or your grandparents? You're fifth generation, you said?
No, I'm third.
Third, okay. Would you be where you are now?
I don't know where I'd be, honestly. Probably not. I mean, maybe I would have a very calm, peaceful life in Siargao. That could be a place. Another place could be, I don't know, southern Italy, or I don't know. Who knows, right?
A better life even.
Could be. Maybe not, but.
Okay, then we go to Anna, and then Dennis, and then Pammy.
So I think it's a great question, and it's actually a question I asked myself very early in my career. So I was an art graduate from college, and I joined Union Bank shortly after. And I spent 2 years in Union Bank, and I moved around a bit. But towards the end of my second year, I asked myself the question, are they moving me around and are they giving me opportunities because my father owns shares in this bank? And I couldn't live with not knowing the answer. So I left. I left Union Bank and I went to Citibank, and I wanted to go to a bank that I knew I couldn't get a position in by asking for connections. And I knew none of the other local banks would hire me because they think I was a spy. So I applied to City and HSBC and City took me in, and I spent 2 years there, and I got promoted twice, and that gave me the answer that I needed to answer your question. So I don't know if I would be exactly where I am, but I think that I could do well, given my drive and experience, I guess. And the answer to your second question, I've actually not started a business from scratch, but I've seen enough startups and talked to enough startups that I think for me the number one advice I would give to them is to be very clear about your thesis. Why are you starting a business? What need are you trying to solve? Because if you don't have, number one, if you don't have the money, you're gonna go and have to convince an investor using that story. Number two, nobody's gonna buy your product or your service if you're not clear about what problem you're solving. So I think that's the one single answer that every startup needs to have very clear.
All right, thank you. I think your answer would be about the same, diba? No, but go ahead. Please elaborate.
No, it's a bit different. Actually.
A bit different.
So,
okay, sige, let's.
So I think it's a good question. I was really thinking about the correct answer. No? So
Walang correct answer.
If I did not inherit anything, I will. Well, first of all, I haven't inherited anything yet. But in line with the spirit of the question, if I do not inherit anything, I will definitely not have the level of comfort that I would enjoy. But I don't need much. No, I don't need much to be comfortable. The second thing I wanted to say is that I would not be as fulfilled if I made it on my own, because I'd probably be a lawyer or a banker, and I will make money for myself and my family. But I will not have this platform to help people in the company and in the community and have a big impact on the country. So I don't think I will be as fulfilled.
Start up. Advice to start up.
I'll have to scale first. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I share your dad's answer or your dad's point of view? Actually, sabi niya, he didn't want you to inherit his position. And he believes it's not something you pass to to the next generation. It's really merit. Yeah, he said that's an old-fashioned way of thinking. I'd just like to share. And then he was surprised that you actually were interested in the job. Why?
Because all our lives he told us that he doesn't want a family member to take over. So it never occurred to us that one of us would work in the company.
Parang for him, old-fashioned way of thinking yun. It's how businesses die, is what he said. Yeah. Yes. Well, you're proving he's wrong also. Anyway, Pami, share your...
Let me tell you, I'm second generation, and you know what they say about that? We are the ones that are tasked to actually make it grow. So I will tell you, I did not inherit a beautiful balance sheet of a company, but what I did inherit from my parents was a very happy childhood and a very good family. So with that, it has made me want to. It has made me want to share the privilege of having going home to a comfortable home and wanting to share this to the many Filipinos around us. So that was we grew up in a happy house. We were 7 brothers and sisters, and the joy and security that you feel going home, that is the biggest thing that we inherited. Building the balance sheet had to be was on our plates. Regarding the VCs and the startups, one thing that I learned from my other mentor, CJJ, it's make sure the cash flow decides for you. Not emotion, not anything else, but I guess similar to measure twice. Run your cash flow 100 times before you jump into anything. Yeah.
Great advice.
I would like to address this question to Anna to make up for your lack of airtime kanina. My benchmark for you is another Anna Butin. She's now in her 10th year, as CEO of Santander Global after having been CEO of Santander UK. Okay. Uh, you, you're young enough to know that Union Bank was a treasury bank at the start, and then you became a commercial bank after the acquisitions. The City Savings Bank actually contributes a lot of the profits, and you're now transformed into a retail bank after the acquisition of the City consumer credit card business. It's both a very good opportunity and a challenge. The challenge is this. Union Bank paid 42 billion in premium to buy that Citibank asset, and you're paying 4.5 billion a year. And that depresses your ROE by 10 percentage points from 16, 17 to 6, 7%. Okay. So the challenge to you is how do you sort of, because you are the next generation, di ba? How do you sort of climb that hill? Okay.
Specific to the city acquisition, actually, it's performing much better than our models told us it would. We're growing and acquiring now close to over 50,000 cards a month. Our models projected much less than that. The spend on the cards is also growing. So we have other assumptions I'm not at liberty to share here that relate to the premium that we paid on the model, but they are performing as planned. So I think the challenge ahead for me is to use, and I like the word you used, Dennis, earlier, platform, right? So if you look at the Union Bank Group, it is a platform to serve the Philippine market. We have 3 banks and 1 fintech in our platform, and all of them are carefully designed to address one segment of the market, or separate segments. There's no overlap in our strategy as to what they should tackle. I think the task for us ahead is to leverage on the platforms that we have, both the digital that will allow us to scale, but also the business platforms that we have. The city acquisition is very much our story and our go-to-market for the wealth and mass wealth segments, regardless of the products that we use to acquire and engage them with. City Savings, as you talked about, I'm very happy because I sit on that board and it's close to my heart. So does Director Bert, who's in the audience today. Is our platform to address the needs of the mass market and what I'm calling to be the local bayani, our public school teachers, the police, the AFP, etc. So this is going to be our platform for growth to go after them. And Union Digital for those that are ready for a purely digital banking model in the mass market sector. No? And our fintech UBX is there as a platform to help us to transform businesses, our own and others, and bring them into the new generation of doing business and the new generation of banking. So the task ahead for me is to tie that all together and to help our leaders press on the gas to accelerate the growth that we've seen over the last 4 years and take it to the next level.
Thank you, Ana. And thank you, Alex, for your question. Now, in closing, let me start with you, Pami, kasi you asked me this question. I'd like to throw it back to you. Are you optimistic about the future in the Philippines? You know, economically.
Yes. Economically and socially, yes. Politically is a different thing. So we just have to isolate these matters for now. But the short and quick
Current
answer is
politics
yes.
is not keeping up with the reforms and the
Right.
advances happening in
Right.
the private sector. So that
Right.
makes you
I know.
frustrated.
Yeah. Sayang all the potential, really. I mean, we are so far behind Indonesia, Malaysia, all those neighbors. But with the help of great leaders here,
You might want to enter politics yourself.
no. With great leaders here, I'm sure we'll be able to fill the gap and make the leap for the Philippines, for the Filipino.
Thank you. Okay, Dennis.
Same question ba?
Same question in closing.
Well, in closing, I'm optimistic about our company because EVs will eventually be the standard as far as vehicles is concerned.
Do you drive an EV?
I do drive an EV. And renewable energy is part of the solution, and electricity the price will keep on going up unless more developers take the risks and invest in the Philippines. And finally, we have a very promising copper and gold company, and hopefully we'll do some discoveries sometime soon. So it's a good time to invest in our company.
Gold. Yeah. Great. Francis, would you like, and then Anna can have the last say.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm very optimistic. I think a lot of the economic indicators are showing that, right? So you have the highest growth rate in Southeast Asia for the Philippines. You have easing inflation. You have a demographic shift. You're going to have a lot more people joining the workforce. You're going to have a lot more consumption. And we're moving into a point where the average GDP per capita will allow people to spend more. So if you talk about leisure, you talk about goods or whatever it may be, our consumption economy is just getting started. So I really think we haven't seen anything yet. And I think 10 years from now, we'll look back, I hope, and say, what were we all worried about?
Really?
Yeah.
What about politics? Don't you get
Politics?
frustrated as well?
Well, I think politics come and go, right? But we hope to be here. And, we're hoping everybody wants the best for the country. So we're positive about it and looking forward to the future.
Anna?
So I think
Thank
Francis
you.
actually summarized well all of the things going for the economy. In our businesses, I think particularly the growth of the GDP per capita and the upcoming population that's ripe for consumer and consumption is what we're banking on. I think if you look back over the last 20 years, politics has been there, it's changed, it's not changed, but the private sector has always, trotted on.
Been the
and
engine,
pulled through. Yes. And so I'm confident in the businesses in the country. Of course, it'll help to have a political environment that supports, but I think I'm positive overall.
Thank you so much. On that note, we must be positive. Let's end on a positive note.
Thank you very much. We definitely have started something, and we hope to continue this series. I think the future looks bright with these new leaders who will reshape industry. Thank you and have a good day.